My question is this.
Yeah.
I'll say this because obviously you can't. Ari Gold was such a strong character. I think he broke out of the show completely. There was people that wanted to be like him for Halloween. There's people that call into your show and tell you that that changed his life and now they're assholes about things. And there's such a strong dynamic to the character itself. Why is it that HBO drops the ball and doesn't do a show about you taking over Hollywood and finding new talent?
Yes.
And if there was going to be, could you paint me a picture of what you think it would turn out to be?
You know, it's funny you say that because I don't know the answer to that. And, you know, it's ironic that I played in a weird way the face of the backstage life of Hollywood, you know, this agent that could get it done, when the reality is, as an actor, you're not privy to that world. I just produced my first movie. I've done 80 movies and never produced my own movie. I'm a late bloomer. So finally, like, and by the way, I'm going to answer that question. It's going to be a long way around.
No, please take your time.
So my mother, who's been my acting teacher, and by the way, I talk about this on stage. My mother, you know, to this day, we run lines together. And so everything I've ever said is Ari Gold, I've said to my mom's face because she tests me on my lines. Yeah. And my mom is a total pro. When you think about the obscene and the absurd, you know, crazy, offensive things I've said as Ari Gold, my mother never blinks. You know what I mean? So I've done that with her. So
I love the relationship between you guys.
Oh,
yeah,
that's amazing.
She's the best. She's the best. And she gave me this. She said, I read this short story in the New Yorker about a Jewish tap dancer that ends up dancing for Hitler. And I was like, what? And the story was so powerful. And, you know, I'm leaving a lot out. Arthur Miller, who's one of the greatest playwrights, won the Pulitzer Prize, was married to Marilyn Monroe. He's a total icon. He wrote the story, and everything he's ever done has been produced. This hasn't. My sister Shira adapted the screenplay and directed it, and I, for 12 years, learned how to tap dance. And I played this character. And we are 3 weeks away from locking picture. And so what's so crazy is you bring that up. Why doesn't HBO? It's so interesting. I was having this conversation with someone on the team, and they were like, why don't we go to HBO with this movie? You know, you have this great history with them.
Yeah.
You know, and I do. And as you know, hits are hard to come by. That's why they're remaking Sex in the City.
Exactly. They have
things.
to recycle. And also, we could get into the whole industry of, like, it's not where it used to be. You had it right in the golden times. Like, you guys were producing things that are going to be timeless. Now we were producing things to try to, like, make people feel comfortable and happy and, like, what the fuck it means. Before, it was like the artist explaining to you what they feel, and now we're trying to mirror what we think the audience wants to feel. Like, it's a very... I don't mean to make you go into it, but that's what I see it being into.
Well, I think no matter what someone's intention as to why they're making a piece, you either connect with it or you don't. So they may make a piece because they want to represent everyone and tick all the right boxes, and they're operating out of fear, and they have some sort of agenda. But it doesn't matter what that is. If they make a great story that is compelling, that hooks you, that's all that matters. But if that's not the case, and it's very clear why someone made something, and that overrides the story itself, and they're putting the accent on the wrong syllable, and it's confusing to you, then that's a problem. And I think there's a reason why people of your generation, and they're coming up to me on the street all the time, are going, bro, and there's like 20-year-old kids going, Ari Gold. I'm going like, wait a minute, where did you see this? And so, you know, I think to answer your question, it's a very long way around. To answer the question about HBO's, I don't even think they realize the audience that show had and now has.
And still has.
Do you think it's because of social media, and then the feedback was more now audience versus, like, I don't know, like people that write about how good shows are? Do you think they didn't know how strong your audience were because of that? Like, say if it was made now and you could get feedback right away.
Oh, yeah.
Do you think they'd be like, oh, 100% we're running this?
Well, that is a variable. That's a very good point. When we first started, you know, people would watch it in groups because it was just, even before TiVo, it was like, you know, like people, like they would Sunday nights, they would all get together and they would hang and watch it. So, like, even the ratings didn't show So let's say there was 10 times what people were actually watching because they were watching in groups.
With their boys.
Yeah, exactly. And
together,
that continued to happen. And then I'd go to other countries and they're illegally downloading it. So it's everywhere. And now you've got this whole, so, I think if the HBOs of the world, and I can see that because I'm one of the faces of the show. So I know the reach that it has. So I think once they realize that, they're a business and, maybe they'll be open to it. I have no idea. But in terms of, in this climate, to have characters that are abrasive, that are equal opportunity offenders, I think that, it would give certain people pause. But the reality is, if it's funny, if it's authentic, and it connects with an audience, that's pretty rare. So why not do it?
There is a relationship dynamic between you and your assistant. And your assistant is gay in the show, and you make so many gay jokes, but you end up loving it because you could see the love between you guys.
Yeah.
If HBO, and I hope to God they do, and they open up their brains and open up to that possibility, if they do bring it back, you know how fucking funny it would be to watch Ari in this modern day try to bounce his way of Hollywood in this time of day and like the overly sensitive people.
Yeah.
I think it still would be unbelievable.
Oh, 100%. Because even as abrasive as Ari was in the show, there was a lot of learning curves that he went through where he'd be like, yeah, okay, like I need to try and do this. And then you would fall and you'd make the mistake again, but then you would try and learn and you try and change. And that's life, you know what I mean? That's part of like that character.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it would be really a fertile ground for comedy because Lloyd would be his pronoun consultant. Do you know what I mean?
So you've thought about this.
Well, Ari, you're not a friend to the gay man. Oh, I am, Lloyd. I am. No, you're not. I'm sorry, you're not. You got everyone's pronoun wrong. No, I got his pronoun right. His pronoun is has and been. No, I don't know.
Yo, we're taking that and we're pitching it ourselves. Yeah. We're pitching it ourselves. Honestly, we don't even need to do any more of the podcast. Let's wrap it the fuck up. Let's call it a day. I want to tap into what the life was behind the scenes of a show that was showing the behind the scenes of Hollywood. For example, when I go to a party now, I see everybody like this, and I see everybody like this, and they're not in the moment. So I would like to just peel back a little bit of your personal memories, if you're vulnerable enough, and show me what did Hollywood look like when it wasn't about selfies, it was about Instagram, it was about talented people in this Hollywood area, and we're gathered together, and this guy's getting fucked up, and it's pretty funny.
It's interesting. We've all, I think, had a lot of time to reflect between pandemics and strikes and all these things. And you're right. People, social media wasn't as prevalent back then. I was, because, and I have no regrets, but because I beat myself up to get it right so often, and I was pretty hard on myself. And again, everything that I said as Ari Gold was written. And, Doug Ellen took great care to write and do it brilliantly. So I had to get it, word for word. So those rants look improvised, but they are word for word.
Those are word for word.
You should have him on the show, and you'll ask him, or he'll bring a script.
The gentleman from the Victory podcast, correct? Yes.
Correct. If he were just to bring the script, and then you were to show the scene, and you run it in real time, every word, every punctuation, everything is written, and it's my job. And by the way, there's nothing special about what I did.
That's fucking incredibly hard, bro.
Well, it's what actors do. I mean, it's simple.
Yes. I mean, you guys are more professional actors. I did like the more improv thing. I had like maybe 2 or 3 lines, and if I fuck up one word, cut. Run it back. So those monologues where it had so much emphasis and there's so much passion behind a certain word or a dictation, for you to nail all of that's written verbatim, I would have never in a million years think that wasn't improv.
Well, but again, there's something special about what I did. My background, I was on stage at 8 years old. So by the time I broke out and won the Fresh Face of the Year at 37 years old. And I received the award, and I said, there's nothing fresh about my face, but thank you. That was the first year of Entourage. So, you know, my coming out party was at 37 when pro athletes are retiring. That was, you know what I'm saying? So that was my coming out party. So I had 30 years to prep. And, you know, I've studied at the National Theatre of Great Britain. I studied Shakespeare there. I went to NYU. I went to, you know, I've just been grinding my whole life, preparing for the moment. Like Shakespeare says, the readiness is all. So, you know, I'm a stage actor, and so I would run Ari Gold like I was doing a play. And so you run it, so by the time you hit the stage, you're ready to go.
Right.
You can shoot the rehearsal, but you got to be ready.
Okay, so 30
Incredible writing. That's insane.
Yeah, great writing. Get
Incredible
Doug in.
writing.
He'll tell you that it was word for word. I mean, every once in a while, they would go, okay, Jeremy, they would call it a freebie. Here's a freebie. And so I would be allowed to deviate a bit from the lines, but they would always keep it. So what I learned was, if I do it word for word, but if I can just make something pop, like I said, let's hug it out, bitch. That was an improv. That made it in and became a catchphrase. You know, little things like would just kind of seep in there and kind of get in. But I had to make sure that it was. I mean, I'm Jewish, so it was like reading out of the Torah. Like literally, it was word for word. You can't deviate.